There you go. Perfect.
Oh, okay.
Yep, that's usually what it looks like, maybe.
Sorry about that, everybody.
Yeah.
Slow.
Right. I'm impressed, maybe.
So this is a meeting of the Master Plan Implementation Committee. We call to order. Anyone who wants to watch remotely can be found on the town website /remote meetings. I call the meeting to order, and the first order of business is the election of officers. Chair and the clerk. Anyone want to be nominated as chair?
It's so long since I've done this. Can you remind us what the protocol is? We just.
So somebody nominates someone, so I'm not on the committee, so I can't nominate anybody. But I'm just kicking it off because there's no chair. That's chair. Somebody nominates somebody, and then everyone else pile on and make them be chair. That's how it works.
The clerk's looking pretty good right now.
If no one wants to do it, I'll do it. But if someone wants to do it, I'd be happy to nominate them. So. I'd be happy to be clerk too.
Clerk is the note taker?
Yeah.
I don't mind being a clerk. I've never been one though. Well, I'll give it a try. Would you like to be chair?
Sure. No one else wants to? Sure.
So I make a motion to nominate Lisa Brascio as chair. Debbie Demeyer as clerk.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I
Now I'll go sit over here and let you have a meeting.
So you ex officio, is that your position?
No, I was just kicking it off because there was no chair.
Did you
It
go
had
to
just
all
been
meetings?
started.
You're not gonna be in the open meetings.
I don't think so. Oh,
So I'm just gonna put my 2 pen over things they say. The reason I kept quiet there is because what I really like to do to contribute to the group is to do the kind of process piece that I was doing for the main implementation, for the main master plan, because that's the stuff I kind of easy for me to do, if that's okay.
Absolutely. You're great on that. Absolutely. Okay. Well, I guess I can set the agenda, but next up is discussion of the charge, which Mimi has put on the screen as well for those at home. So, and Mimi, you can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, that every 6 months, we need to review with every board and committee that has items for the implementation, and then come back quarterly on any that, any updates for planning board, and then yearly. The intent was, and again, you can certainly correct me if I'm wrong, Mimi, is planning board set the charge.
I think the charge was written by Ms. Watson.
Well, there we go. Okay, Judith, let's ask Judith then.
So as I tried to put this together
Yeah.
and talk to Mimi about it, we obviously want to check in with each board, committee, department that has responsibilities or the primary responsibility for each of the recommendations. And what I looked at was it felt like it was too much to do it once a year. So to have this kind of big review once a year, it was too much to try and do it all together. Not least because then if there's, an area where where progress isn't being made, it's much more difficult to respond and react if we're only looking at it once a year. So the idea was checking in with each kind of responsible group once every 6 months. So not too daunting, they have enough time to kind of do stuff, put their plans together, to do budgets, to move all down the field, so to speak. But we were still kind of checking in 6 months. And the reasons I said, let's report out to the planning board quarterly was so that we could put together kind of a rolling schedule. So we'll come to the planning board every quarter, but only with a subset of updates from the different committees. And it might be that, everything's going swimmingly and we just say, oh yeah, these recommendations and move forward as expected, or it might be, well, I don't know, the housing committee is, the Shopsy has got some challenges and, would like to review them and planning for.
Judith, did you envision, as you were thinking about this and thinking it through, that there's only 4 of us right now, potentially a 5th? Did you envision having like a liaison potentially? So we don't have to all attend,
Yeah.
20 meetings, that we can kind of split it up and then we can report back as well at our next meeting?
Yeah. Are you able to pull up that document I just sent?
Is it that one?
No,
No.
it's another one. It should be in your town. Sorry, I didn't get it to you earlier.
So this is what that's what I just had open. This,
Send you the wrong thing.
That's annoying me.
open it again and see if it's something. Yeah. Got it? That's what it says it is.
Is it the document above that maybe? In the email? This one sent at 7:02. Summary maybe?
No?
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's the same one. Sorry, I apologize.
So weird, that's not what's online. Okay, so let me, can I try and send it to you again?
Can I let you share?
Yeah, sure.
Let's see, how do I do that? The co-host? Is that how you?
Yeah.
Yep. There we go. Good job with me.
Oh, I am a technological genius.
Okay, so in the,
I'm sorry to interrupt. Bill Sines has his hand up. I don't know if you want to entertain.
Is he on there twice? No, he's on there once. Only. Bill, do you still want to speak? If so, keep your hand up. Otherwise, take it down. Okay. And Bill, if you do want to speak, we'll let Judith go through this first, and you certainly can raise your hand again.
okay,
Sorry.
so this is what we just went through was the kind of the concept of the scheduling. So what I did is then build out just a quick summary of, and I'll share this with everyone after the meeting. Quick summary of the kind of, if you like, the stats from the master plan. So this is very quickly. This is the master plan recommendations by chapter. So in the implementation, chapter 9, this is a summary by count of all the recommendations, both goals and recommendations. And then you'll see we've already got 7 complete, so like, yay! So 39 goals and 200 recommendations. Now this is a view by chapter, so by topic, which is what the master plan is built around. What I then did is kind of turn it somewhat on its head. And this is same data, but by the committee that has primary responsibility. Now, there's just one tiny difference, which is you'll see the count at the bottom is 201 and not 200, because there's one recommendation where the EDC asked if they could split responsibility, and I kind of gave in the end against the basic principle, but we split it. So here you can see the assignment of responsibilities, and it's pretty intuitive in the most part because of the way we built the plan out and the way that the responsible groups kind of need to take on these recommendations. They're very much aligned with the topics in the book. So, there's a chunk of, so for example, there's a chunk of recommendations for open space, recreation commission, conservation commission, trails committee. And that's actually quite the same across all of these different chapters. The big one where there's kind of cross chapter responsibilities is actually in the selective. But actually, if you look at those recommendations, a lot of them are about kind of more strategic, kind of higher level, kickstarting new commissions and committees, kickstarting community review projects. So that's a split of recommendations. At some point, we should probably just come back to who's got a copy of the master plan, but that was just, I just added that on. And then what I did is, because I was trying to think of a way, to your point, how do you split this up amongst our committees so that we don't all end up having to kind of talk to everybody? And this is just a first pass at how I thought it might work. So I've grouped the recommendations by responsible party into what I call affinity groups. So it's slightly different than saying it by chapter. But if you look at the sorts of recommendations and the potential linkages between the different commissions, I felt I was starting to see some patterns. So let's start with in the middle, the green, environment, natural resources. These are kind of completely new labels just to try and make it separate. And the green committees would be conservation, not the common, golf course, open space, and the trails committee, because they're all kind of touching on the same area. I grouped facilities, sustainability, resiliency together because it felt like they're kind of touching a similar space. Commercial and residential development, which kind of links in housing, EDC, and planning board. Education and recreation, kind of schools and recreation, so I think there are some touch points there. Finance and technology, and then the top one I call local government strategy and planning, which is basically select board, but also the new committees, the pedestrian bicycling community centre committee, which at this point, there's recommendations assigned to them, but those committees don't actually exist. So they can't move forward on those recommendations until the select board says okay.
Yep.
So that's that kind of what I call the affinity grouping. There's actually 6, but we could potentially link 2 together if we get 5 on the committee. And then I just put to the right hand side biannual review. So this was the first stab at saying if each department board and committee in that affinity group has to be met with twice, which quarters in a year would we want to meet with them? So this was just a stab, and I kind of went, well, select board, local government strategy and planning, which is kind of select board. Well, maybe that would be Q2 because that gets you the town meeting in there, Q4 because that gets you, a review at the end of the year. Just made that up completely.
And to clarify, the quarters are based on calendar year, not fiscal year. Good question.
In my head, I was going calendar year because my thought would be, and again, totally just my first pass, is that it might make more sense to kick off these reviews in 2023. Because that would give us a couple of months to kind of get our ducks in a row and talk about how we might want to, not lots of meetings, but maybe one more meeting, 2 more meetings, just talk about how we might approach it.
Yeah, I like that. And everybody, the other way would have been too difficult. Oh, it's Q1 of fiscal year. You have to explain it every time. you
Right,
say
yeah.
it, And everyone knows what.
Yeah. So that was just my first pass of how we might, and to your point, my thought would be each take responsibility for one or more of these so that there's a point person, there's a liaison, right? To talk to the chairs or whoever's assigned.
And take responsibility for one of the affinity groups,
Yes.
Yeah,
which would be in a.
Yeah.
So interestingly enough, I actually sit on the emergency planning committee. Obviously, the select board would fall into that, so I would be more than happy to take can you just scan down, Julie? I just want to see, so there's the emergency planning, facilities, and is there another in the orange?
That's the
Oh, SEMA, which,
SEMA.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
and the sustainability committee, which isn't yet, so, I mean, I would be happy to take the selectmen piece from the top and then the orange, because again, I sit on those
Okay.
committees, so those make sense. Those two groups,
Okay,
I don't know,
I have an affinity for the environment and natural resource group.
that's what I thought, yeah.
no, and can you, share these with us?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, I'll send that.
Thank you. Deb, what are your thoughts?
No,
I mean, obviously, planning would make sense.
The planning is kind of on the commercial residential development, the kind of EDC, planning board, and shop C.
that probably makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then that leaves finance, technology, education, recreation.
Ooh, it feels that.
I was just gonna say
Yeah.
that. Finances. technology.
Yeah,
Okay,
perfect.
Perfect. Oh,
Yeah.
I love it when it comes together.
Yeah.
And because I was about to say education, recreation, you know, I did a lot of work with Kristen on the recreation and Katura on the education, so I can take education.
Perfect.
Is someone taking a book, see, their visitors other than Bill? I don't have eyes on that.
There are 6. Mr.
Yeah.
Warren is actually there.
Oh.
Yeah, and Marcy Jones, Bill left. Cover and build the finance.
Yeah.
That'd be beautiful.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay, so I'll share this with everybody and then, probably go back to it. But does that, what I've just explained make sense? Kind of
Yes.
meeting with the commission. And then also, you know, within a given quarter, I think it would be up to everyone on the committee to decide, you know, what's best for your schedule and the committees that you're working with schedule, so that it's not, oh, everyone has to meet on the Wednesdays, you know. And that's one thing we talked about. As we came to the end of the master plan, it's, you know, try and be kind of flexible as we
Yeah.
can.
yeah. Judith, is there a way, and I know you're the guru on this, that, so, for instance, like for SEMA and, or even within our group, is there a way, easy way, to be able to print out the implementation, so
By committee.
by
Yeah.
committee, okay, that would be,
It's still a work in progress.
okay. Well, I just think it'd be easy when you
No,
go to them, you
That's
don't have to
definitely,
pick and
that's
choose and try to
definitely
write it.
where
Okay.
perfect. I started doing it and it takes a little bit longer than I thought, but yeah, I will kind of invert the implementation plan that's in here. So it's not by chapter, it's by group.
Okay, perfect.
But it'll still be clear which chapter.
Yeah.
It's related to, so you relate that to it.
So organized.
I know.
Thank
Yes, thank you.
And then do we know, actually, just go back to the report copy. Do we know who got copies with me or just?
Karina does, she's got a list, and I
Oh.
thought that, I thought Lisa had one, I thought, Debbie had one, and neither did, so.
Sam, did you get a copy?
I did, and it wasn't autographed, I was disappointed.
All right, but did it, do you know, did it come through the selectman's office, or did you happen to run it in Karina and they gave you one?
No, I didn't get it from Karina, somebody gave it to me, I can't remember who it was.
Okay.
And it turned out I wasn't supposed to get it, but who I meant.
Oh,
They told me, they said they tell Karina I have one.
Okay.
Okay, I can go back to Karina and just get an update on that.
Yeah, that would be great.
So I think the select board needs them.
Yeah.
Except for Sam, because he already has one.
I memorized it.
Yeah, I know, I think she,
She had a whole list of who
and I
was
think
gonna
she
get
got
them.
all the copies that we had printed.
Yeah. So she.
So there should be,
got that under
the
control.
idea would be that every committee should have their own, so that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I know that, like the entire board, select board was getting one, the entire planning board, and then like one for conservation, one for.
Yeah.
And everyone on this committee, so. Supposedly, you have yours
Might,
now.
I'll look.
So Judith, what are you envisioning for homework potentially for us as we look towards the next meeting? Just kind of looking over the groups that we have and making sure that we understand the, what we're gonna ask of them as far as goals.
Yeah, I was gonna do just like some almost like talking points to say is, here's the charge, just like a few bullets on what our charge is, and this is what we're looking to be able to do with everybody. When we talked about this internally, but also I think when we went to the planning board, I think the important thing we all agreed was we're not going to do this for them. We are not responsible for implementing the master plan. We are responsible for making sure the master plan gets implemented. Now, if there's a particular board or commission says, we really have never done anything like this, we don't really know where to start with these recommendations, I'm quite happy to then say, okay, well, what do we need to help you? But my hope would be most of these bodies now, compared to 2008, have actually worked on plans and bigger projects and implementations. We have the open space and rec plan and the Shopsy report. So I would hope that there's not a huge gap to fill, but I that's what I was going to do, just do some talking points to say.
Would it make sense to have, when we do our biannual meetings, to have a standard form? Something simple, but that we check off the boxes for, and that's what we report back to the planning board, so that at the end, we have 10 years worth of, these are our check-ins, and this is, we can kind of see where it maybe identifies them. What's working, what's not working, and then it's all the same.
And then it's
that's what the
standardized and
same
we can compare. Yeah, I can have it.
Okay. Yeah, and have on it as well when, the process that you as a liaison college you spoke to, so planning board and everyone has, that would be great.
Can you go back to the charge for a minute? Right. Oh, we did actually, yeah, we did, we didn't cover that. Just the last point was about we're maintaining information on the status of the recommendations, and I can create kind of template for that, which will link to the buy-in for. But we're not, and I think that's something that I'll make sure we include in the talking points, is we're not gonna update this. This is the master plan.
Yeah.
There might be okay, well, we need to create a brief addendum because something huge has happened, but it's not, like the budget is the budget. Yeah. forecast through the year.
So as the goals are reached, then how does that get captured over the next decade?
That would be like an implementation form, like it's various things swirling around in my head about it. I've got from past lives, various examples of how I've done it before, so.
Could that live, the implementation form as we go through, is that something that could live on the planning board's website? Sure. That, the public can see at any time, progress that's being made.
We've
Yeah.
already achieved 4 goals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Love that.
We still have the master plan committee website, but I think we talked about, in effect, not closing it down and saying it now needs to move to be part of the planning board, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The Dropbox or whatever it was.
Well, there's the
Google
drop,
Drive.
yeah, there's the Dropbox, but also the actual web page. I don't know how,
Can it be, so if is that live, does the master plan committee page live under the planning board? Or was it its own?
it was separate.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so have a link to it under planning board, is that what? To the master?
I mean, I think it should be under the planning board. We're a subcommittee of the planning board.
Okay.
And I can talk to Corinne and Jason about kind of putting a signpost on the master plan website to the planning board so that it's clear that that's where people should be looking.
How long after the committee's dissolved do they take that page down?
And maybe it should.
I'm just worried, is it already down or is it still up?
No, it's still up.
Okay, good.
And just the final copy of the master plan is sitting in there.
Okay.
That's, if you can find it somewhere else on the web. Oh, actually. No, there's duties and charges and.
Okay, so they haven't taken it down
This is
yet.
this whole page, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, interestingly, we've still got the 2008 master plan on the planning board. We should probably. I'll talk to Karina about, myself, maybe about how we want to organize this, because we might want to have like an archive page, and so we don't lose the 2008 plan.
Right.
Okay, and then members in term.
What else there are terms?
12 months. Presumably there's no problem with. Just renew as required, yeah?
Okay, that good? All right, so discussion of meeting schedule. Judith, how long do you think? And again, no pressure on you, because there's a lot on your plate from this. When do you think some of the talking points, the chapters by, or implementation by committee? You thinking like a month?
Oh, yeah, I think I'm done.
So looking in October, end of October, maybe the week of the 24th. Does anybody have, or the 26th, stick to Wednesday?
I leave a committee scheduled on that date. If it's good for everybody, I can try to.
I mean, are we flexible on whether it's Wednesday or Thursday? Yes, I am too. Is
I am.
Thursday better for you, the 27th?
Yeah, I can make
Judith, does that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay, and Deb, does that work for you? Okay, perfect. So we'll set it,
27 at 7 p.m.
yep, 7 p.m. and we'll work towards getting Will
Do we want-
signed up.
Yeah, do you want to ask him?
Do you want to ask?
Sure.
He might kind of go, oh, no.
What you, Will? Can't let you ask him, how's that?
I will. We're putting you on the spot.
I think he's muted.
Yeah, well, you're-
Yeah, I'm here.
So we were talking about whether you had expressed interest in being appointed to the committee. Does that interest still exist?
Yeah, that sounds interesting. When the comment was made that there's a lot on your plate, I'm hoping that that was not your plate, Kat. Whose plate was that?
No.
Judith.
The other side.
Okay, good. Yeah, let's make sure the plates are kept straight. No, that sounds good. I would be interested. Thank you.
Well, can you fill out the form online?
I will.
That would be great. Thank you.
I will. I know that Bill will be very happy to appoint me again.
Awesome, wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Will.
All right.
All right, so we're all set for the 27th at 7 p.m. Any other business? Well, Mr. Stivers, we don't have it on the agenda, but we would be happy to have you come up and speak.
Quick.
We like quick, even better, Sam.
I'm not known for quick. I'll try. I usually get paid by the word.
Are you an attorney?
I'm not. I spend most of my life with it, but just a quick comment. I think that there is actually a sort of a head start on this process in some ways, in that, as Lisa is well aware, we've gone through a planning exercise at the select board. And we wound up with, I think it's 28 goal areas, and there is actually a fair amount of overlap between that and the master plan stuff. And the select board members have been designated to follow up on those goal areas. And so it seems to me to be a very good cross-check for Judith to take a look at that goal list and figure out where the overlap is. And I don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot, but in fact, if the select board is doing a variety of these things, then that would mean the master plan implementation committee might have less pressure to devote resources to do some of those things, counting on the select board to do their job there.
Yeah.
So again, it's not a perfect mapping, but there's a fair amount of that I think is a good overlap.
There
So
are some.
hopefully that could give a head start and sort of tie the two together in ways I think could be very helpful, because we all, I think, are working in the same direction.
So when you say take the load off of us, you mean you would have started already to check in with some of the committees and
Yeah.
such, and then
Exactly.
when we come online, we touch base with the liaison. So everyone's already done that. And
Yeah.
take it.
Right.
Make
We've
sure
done
things
some
are-
of these, not all of them.
Yeah.
But there are.
We don't have 200 or however many there are, Judith, in terms of the total list, but there is some overlap certainly. And for example, I'm working on the Breakneck Hill cleanup thing there. I can't remember if that's on our list now, but in fact, that's another place that, if select board is tracking that, then it's a place where implementation committee might not have much to do. We're working on the ADA follow-up, implementation follow-up. I think that's on the list as well. So again, I don't want to overlap or waste resources on it, but I think we wind up working together here in a way that helps both groups. So good cross-check, and maybe next conversation here could do is you could figure out where the overlaps are, and we could talk about. Lisa knows the project from the select board side, so just make sure we're not assigning too many people to each project. So
But what you're talking about is someone on the select board is the point person to follow up with the group that's responsible for
Right.
that. So
right,
clean up the dump of Breakneck Hill is a conservation commission.
and I'm working with Melissa
So
Danza
you're working
on
okay.
that. And I guess, and I don't know how Lisa is following up on hers, but what I'm working to do on the ones that I'm working on is come up with a work plan to figure out sort of, what key tasks are out there, what we're supposed to do, who's supposed to do it, what are the milestones, what are the resources required, is it people, is it money, is it approval from a regulatory body or whatever that's holding up the process. So we have at least a clear picture of what's happening, and then hopefully nudge progress there and find ways to provide the support, and more particularly to communicate, because I think at least my vision of where the select board is going, and I think some of it is in here as well, is to publish these things. So in fact, I think there are a lot of good things going on, but the public in general, I don't think has very good visibility into that, because we don't do a great job typically of publishing what's happening and who's working on it, what the next tasks are, and what we're trying to accomplish. So that's my goal for this whole thing, is to just be a lot more communicative with the public about what's happening, and give people a chance to track and ask questions, or maybe even participate in some of it.
Yeah.
So anyway, just hopefully we can work together on that and avoid overlap and duplicate resources.
Oh. Perfect. Sounds good.
My 2 cents, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Stivers.
you.
Great. Please, on that.
A nickel? Is that inflation?
We have a motion to adjourn. So, is there a second? Second. Thank you. Well, all in favor? Yeah. Thank you. All right.
Good night, thank you.
Good night, everybody.